All right, welcome to another Minuteman University, where we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of putting together a Second Amendment project online. And tonight we're working on Google shared files. We're actually recording this one in the middle of the night, literally. It's like 11:40 in Tucson, so it's like 3 a.m. on the East Coast or something. So appreciate everybody that joins us live. We're doing these as a series to, again, inform people about some of the nuts and bolts as kind of primers. And then there's lots of resources online to get further information. If there's anything that you have specific questions on after this primer, leave them as a comment. Feel free to leave comments now live, of course, but once it's rendered into a video, leave comments there. And once we see enough questions or whatever, we'll do a live hangout together and have a bunch of people in, some experts and some people that are new and asking questions. And we'll continue to share info and get everybody using the best tools out there, using these platforms as tools instead of just entertainment platforms. So we are joined tonight by Angelina from Allen Anchor over in California. Thanks for jumping in.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to learn about this because it is absolutely needed.
So I think what the reason this one came around is you're now one of the hosts on the Daily Gun Show, and we have a shared file that we use for the schedule and for just keeping notes and making secrets and stuff. And we sent you an invite to that spreadsheet, and you were like, hey, what is this? And I thought, oh, people aren't all aware of this. I guess I've been using it for a while and I just took it for granted. So we figured we'd do a quick description of it. And I was asking while we were getting set up here, looks like Cycle Camp hasn't used it before. He might be interested in this. We were just doing a collaborative thing for the Tulsa show, so we might be able to implement something like this. Potentially we could have, like on the Gun Channel's Google account, have access to the shared files from some of the moderators and stuff. So as we strip down some of the features on Gun Channels itself, we could use, leech some of the features from places like Google and stuff. I guess I'll also preface it with, this is a very basic, this is a free version, and just like anything, it's what you pay for. So number one, your stuff's on the cloud and it's with Google, and there's all the situations there. So it might not be ideal for everything, but it's a way to get you going, and just to keep in mind that there are paid or free, but paid versions that can do project management. Just they smoke this Google free stuff, but this is a good thing to get going. And if you're just starting a podcast or some kind of a project with people, any people, but really with people far away, right? This is a great way to keep everybody on track.
I'm actually thinking about using it for inventory in my shop.
And that's a good point. So to kind of preface everything, somebody was talking out here about putting their serial numbers up there, keeping track of their gun inventory on the Google Cloud. So it's the cloud. And, there was the stuff with the porn, whenever they hack into the stuff, the internet, the Mac stuff, and grab all their pictures that they thought were gone, there's that kind of thing. So I'm still kind of paranoid. I don't know if I could recommend it for business stuff, because like I say, there are not better, but there are more elaborate versions out there, different versions that are something you pay for, so it's, I would assume, more secure because it's a standalone thing as opposed to Google. But that being said, I don't know if anybody attacked into Google's sheets. I don't know if anyone's done any research on that or heard a news article about it, but I guess I would just throw that caveat out there that I don't know if it's sensitive stuff. I don't know if I would.
I mean, we would be, well, what I was thinking about was just like loose inventory for our flags. So like, everyone in the shop can see we already have 5 of this style in stock, or maybe we have 0 in this one. So make sure you print it this run.
Oh, okay.
Like something like that.
Like notes for your employees, like internal notes and stuff.
Yeah, because we have a couple computers and stuff. So I want to try to get, things off of slips of paper that fall onto the floor and onto something like this.
And I think that's probably a good thing. Now I can tell you again we'll get into it, but I'm just, again, to preface it, since that reminded me, every once in a while Bob will get in there and go crazy and delete like a bunch of stuff. And if there are backup things available, I don't know about them. So that might be something to remember, that it's whenever you have multiple people sharing a document, it can be much more efficient than paper. But on the other hand, if somebody deletes half of it and you don't have a backup, then it can be super inefficient.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it could also, you can also have it as read only, have a monitor that just displays the spreadsheet as your notes or your build twos that day or something, and then they don't interact with it, they just use it, and then that way it's not an issue at all. but that's kind of getting into details. Let's dig into it. So the easiest way to get to the Google Sheets is just go to Google. And once you're, most of the time on Chrome, most of the time people are logged into Google or whatever. And so when go to Google as logged in under it or whatever, you're going to get this little Rubik's Cube looking thing with these squares.
Right.
And all the Google stuff. So Drive is this little triangle looking thing. And I don't know why anybody would want an account. Nobody likes to use Google or that G thing, I don't think, because it's right here. So I just take my Drive and I move it up here where I want it. And then I move Maps up here where I want it. And depending if I have, what computer I'm using, I might move them around a little bit more, but probably Gmail. Anyway, so you can do that.
And then I just drag. Okay.
Yeah, literally move them around. So once you jump into the Drive, didn't want to show all that stuff. So that's our stuff for the Daily Gun Show, like I was saying. There. So normally you're going to jump in, it'll be empty, or probably some kind of welcome, blah, blah, blah to Google.
Yeah, that's what mine has.
So ignoring all that, and you could feel free to walk through their tutorials if you think it's necessary or useful, because a lot of times they'll, engineer them to be useful. But what we're digging into is how to create a file and then use them. So you've got a Drive and a whole bunch of other stuff I don't pay attention to. So we're basically paying attention to this new button and your Drive, which is a lot like your hard drive on your computer. When you click on it, you'll see what you got in there. I just took all our files and shoved them into a folder called Podcast, and it's as easy as right-clicking and creating a new folder. So when you want to create something new, click on New, and then it's basically a Microsoft Office suite or whatever the Office suites you want. So you got Word documents, you've got spreadsheets, slides is pretty much PowerPoint, and then this is Access, and this is like not Paint. I mean, this is weird. I don't know what this thing is.
Is this map thing how you make like your own maps?
Google My Maps? I don't know. I've never used that one. So, or at least if I have, it's been a long, long time. It could be. Back in the day, I would access maps through Google Maps, but they could easily have incorporated into Drive. And that might be like, if you're planning a route or some sort of like where your vendors are or something, or where your subscribers are on, or your supporters are on Patreon, you could have some kind of a map to show them, and then take this map and embed it into your website, and then you could say, here's where our supporters are, or something like that.
Oh, it's a cool idea.
Or maybe customers or something. Yeah, there's lots of ways to play with this. So I usually only use Sheets anymore. Every once in a while I'll use documents, like notes or something, when a spreadsheet isn't appropriate. And I'm pretty sure these can also be shifted around. I thought these could be shifted around so that you can put like spreadsheets up on top, or get one of these from over here. I guess not. Anyway, so I'm going to suggest let's jump into Sheets. And I think, well, I guess show of hands, people use spreadsheets out there. I'm assuming, just like Travis was saying yesterday, that kids don't even go to typing class anymore because everybody knows how to type. I'm assuming everybody uses spreadsheets, or at least is familiar with them.
I use Excel.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
So, I mean, yeah, it looks pretty much the same.
Well, I'm not going to make it too interactive because we'll go all night. So we're going to start with the spreadsheets, but keep in mind you could have easily clicked on New and went to Docs, and it would give you basically a Microsoft Word type of thing, and you can fancy up a document or just make notes or whatever, and they'll start being accumulated and shared accumulated and able to be shared in your Google Drive. But we're talking mostly about scheduling and setting up a project, and maybe getting other people on board to do tasks and things like that. So I guess we don't need to explain spreadsheets. Summary, you can put a title up here, and whenever you do that, it'll now, whenever I create the thing, well, it should already be created. So now we'll just refresh this. There it is. So you don't have to save. That's another thing. You don't have to save. Every time you do something, it just automatically saves. But you can do all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about spreadsheets perhaps in the future. You can have multiple tabs down here, so they can be very huge files, or files.
Like the Daily Gun Show one has like all those down there, right?
Yeah, let's just open up the Daily Gun Show one. So we have a bunch of other projects, and then what happened to the Daily Gun Show? Maybe it's shared, because maybe I own it. No. So where is it? Did I delete it? That sucked. Let's just go to it. So the Daily Gun Show, we do a format where we have the dates and the number of the show on this in these couple of columns, and then we've locked them. So I'm flipping over to the other spreadsheet here. One of the features of a spreadsheet is you can freeze some of the columns. So I'm going to freeze the first row there. And now when we scroll up and down, the titles stay there. And when we scroll back and forth, this stuff stays over here. So we've got it in that format. So we have the segments of the show across the top are going across through the columns, and then each of the rows would be a different show. And then we do one show with the topics and the next show with the guts or whatever we're actually talking about that week. And it's as easy when we start the show on whatever day. Like I'll start the Hangout and take like this Hangout link here and just drop it in here like a link. And then I have to make it really big for Bob. So I do this and then do this so that you can see which row it's on. And
he does do this.
Yeah, I do that every time. It's mainly for me. I say it's for Bob, but it's for me. If I ever have to jump on with a phone, it's way easier to click on this on the phone than a little tiny one. You can undo, you can delete, so pretty powerful that way. And then I think we got over here because, like Angelina was saying, we have tabs down here. So like whenever the last show just happened, I'll remove it from this column or those rows from this spreadsheet. I'll flip over to this other tab and scroll all the way to the bottom. And you can see we've got hundreds of shows in here. Actually, there's a whole nother table of these that that is even older shows. This we just started in like the 400s or something. So that way we can keep an archive of what we did. If there's any ever question, or for us, we're lazy, we'll just take topics from the old shows and reuse them. You know, things like tips or movies and stuff. If we don't have a lot of suggestions, we can go back and grab them. But it doesn't cost anything to put it on the cloud, so we keep it there. We've got some notes in here, contact information for guests and stuff, and well, it's a pretty big file at this point. It's 500 shows in, so we've been using it for a while. But that's what it can grow into. And the best part about it is we can share it with people. So once you've got it going, you can send it to either somebody on Gmail, which is the easiest, or if you send it to somebody who's not on Gmail, actually, Angelina, you can tell us what happened there. We sent to you, or we shared you on a non-Gmail email address. What happens when that?
When I click the link, my browser is signed into like a Gmail account, so it just like happened. And I guess, yeah, I think it's one of those things. As long as you have the link, it was fine.
So that way you can invite pretty much anybody. I've tried to invite old people into them, like parents and stuff. They can't figure it out, but most everybody can figure it out. And then everyone has access. And I think you can give them levels of access. I didn't even think about that. But when I go to share here, you know, I'll put in somebody's name and then see, I can say comment or view. So I guess that would be an option for an environment where you want people to be able to access it, but not screw it up. Like we should set it so Bob can only view.
Yeah. Or just comment, so that way he could like type something on it.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. Then he could put his tip of the day in there, or his quote of the day, and not delete anything. So there you go. So now you're not necessarily, you know, not like he's intentionally doing anything, but that way you don't have to worry about somebody who's not familiar with stuff, or just, again, in the car or something, trying to do something on mobile. You don't have to worry about screwing anything up. In fact, you could share it with, I have lots of these things. So I'll have, I have lots of Google accounts also. So I'll have documents that I created on one account, and then I share it with another account. If I thought about it, I could set up that thing where you can only comment from the phone account, and then when I access it on the phone, I don't have to worry about accidentally deleting something in my notes. So that could be pretty interesting. I guess there's a chat room in here. I always forget about it. You guys use it all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was my first time yesterday, but it seemed to work pretty good.
And it looks like there's different ways. It looks like that's a comment. So I could say, like, open this up, leave a comment, and be like, what the hell, Bob? And then he would see that whenever he logged on, I guess. So that's neat. So now that's a feature I just found out about. I was looking over there. So there's probably all kinds of stuff we're not going to be able to tell you about, but that's the gist of it. You've got a lot of options available in the drive, and it's free. There are issues, like anything. What you get for free is worth it. But that's it in a nutshell. Now, I went pretty quick, and I had no plan. So we do have quite a few people watching right now. So anybody that has any questions, or if Angelina has anything specific here, we can run out the clock with going into whatever questions you might have.
So when you do the lock thing, so that was under, because I'm thinking about, like, for the Gun Gals podcast, for instance, it would probably help there because, there's a bunch of people involved. So setting one up similar, when you do the lock thing, can you type into them or are they locked? Like locked from typing?
How am I going to do this? I'm going to pull this over here and then invite you into this sheet. Right? Email address. Oh, what am I screen sharing? All the secrets from the Daily Gun Show? Let me screen share a chat. That's better.
Secrets.
So I'm gonna invite you with the can comment. Is that what you mean? Like when they're locked down and they can't click on stuff or they can't delete stuff?
No, I just meant like, so when you know how you said you lock the top rows, so when you scroll,
Oh,
they stay.
okay.
So if well, my first question is, where was that?
Okay. So
Edit?
that's general spreadsheet, and I'm pretty sure this is on all spreadsheets. Now, a real spreadsheet, you just have to grab this little thingy usually and pull it to where you want. But on Google, you can either highlight the, well, I don't think you have to highlight. You just click on View, and then it's called Freeze in here. So it's either going to do rows or columns, and it's either going to be one or two because most people don't want too many. But if you have a amount you want, you can highlight. Like let's say I need 6 for some reason. I think now if I go up here to freeze, it'll say up to current row or whatever.
Oh, I see. Okay, and so then I can
already
still...
have one in there. So if I unfreeze it, maybe.
I'm in here now and I can view only. So yeah, I can totally like not type anything.
So I don't know which one you signed in there, but it's different than the dinosaur one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So yeah, so I think you can do it columns too. Like if you wanted to go in here, I put you in as an admin. So now if you wanted to go in here and change the columns, you could freeze those. But that's a spreadsheet thing, and that's again, so when you're scrolling up and down, you don't have to remember what your columns or your headings were.
It says that I can view only, so it doesn't let me change anything. So you could share it with anyone like that and they could just read it and not delete all your stuff.
Right. Oh, here's something else that, well, I'm sorry, did that address that question then?
Yeah.
So another thing that's neat about the, another option that's available in the docs is a form. And this is a super, super powerful thing. So we're still under the Daily Gun Show. Let's say we wanted to do a form about, I don't know, some question, right? I don't need the tour. We give the form a name. So let's say it's the new time slot or something. And then we ask them questions. So you can give it a description. And then just start clicking on down here. So you can decide what kind of a question you want to ask, which is neat. And if it's something like date and time, it'll just put a timestamp or something, I think, or it'll accept it as a date and time format, I guess. Then multiple choice, of course, it'll do whatever is appropriate. So let's see. I guess for this, we would just
And
say,
do you have to email that, or can you like put a link up on your Facebook page or something like that?
exactly. You don't do anything. So once it's built, and it can be as elaborate as possible, you can make things necessary, right? You have to answer it or not. You can just keep adding sections. It's actually pretty editable, so you can add pictures and stuff to make it interesting. So it's not just like a boring form. And then how do we delete it? You can delete pieces when you don't want them. So I guess you click send, and then it's going to give you these options. So that little icon is always just send it to somebody in email. This little option is created as a link, so you can drop it somewhere. And it's a big, crazy link, so they have an option here to shorten it to something usable. And then these little alligators biting each other are code, and that's where you get your embed form. So it makes it nice and easy. If you got to stick it somewhere that's only 600 wide, like a lot of pages, if they have a menu on the side, are only going to be about 600 wide, and height doesn't matter usually. So now I can just copy that code and go over to a place where it's appropriate and edit the page, right? Like I'm over on the Minuteman University's Gun Channels page here. I'm just going to go to the end of the chat room, add a little thing, To make it easy, I'm just going to put a whole bunch of F's in there. So when I go back to the code view, I can see all those F's super fast. Paste that thing in there, click OK. Click OK. And then when we save it and view the group, what we're going to have, and if you guys refresh the Minuteman University right now, you'll have it there. So go ahead and please do that. A bunch of people go in there and answer it, right? And when you click submit, now all of this is completely editable. So it doesn't have to be purple. It doesn't have to say this when it's over. We didn't really get into it, but I could have fiddled with that quite a bit. And now, boom, when we want to see responses, we can go over here and look at them fancy, or we can go in here and refresh this. And now we'll have two additional things in here, the form, and we should have the, oh, I have to go back to the form and I have to tell it, create a spreadsheet. So we're going to call it new time slot, and then leave the responses part in there, and then we'll say create. Or I could have crammed that into an existing spreadsheet. So I probably could have crammed that into an existing spreadsheet. And there you go. There's the people that have been responding. Thanks for helping us test that out. So that's kind of super neat. I've been using that. We use that for the Daily Gun Show to do the pop quiz thing. And what I get, I'm not going to open it because it's got everybody's names and addresses, but it'll have, like, you know, the date, the thing, whatever, the thing they answered, their address, their username, blah, 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 their choices for the patch. And then they just start to fill up. I have one for askgunquestions.com. So if you, one of our websites, actually, let's just go to any website. And down at the bottom of any of our websites, we're going to, oops, at the actual website, we're going to have a link to askgunquestions.com. We built that site a long time ago. And you can ask gun questions there and look, what do you got? A Google form.
Is that something that I could put on my store?
Yeah, definitely. And make it look better, right? And don't make it look stupid purple like basic, but yeah, definitely add it to your store. You can make it look just like it's supposed to be there. Now, I happen to know your store probably has stuff in there to do that, but this would be a way to do it that's accessible through Google Sheets. And if you were gonna do something collaborating with somebody or having people in on it, something that's unique to a website or a store function or whatever might not be as appropriate. So definitely, once you build the thing and then go to send it or share it, go to this code thing. You basically just stick that in there, kind of like we do with that code for your Instagram thing. So.
Oh, okay. I like this, the sheets thing. That looks pretty cool. I had no idea you could even do that.
All right. So let's see if we got any other questions coming in here. It does look like Excel. It's not as good as Excel. When I try to have people use this who are like Excel wizards, they get mad at me because it's not Excel. And it's goofy and it isn't like flip back and forth. For everything I've done, it works pretty good. You can just copy everything, right? And just open up another Excel. I don't use Excel anymore. I use that Open Office or something. And I can paste it into there and have it offline. You can download it anytime you want. So even if it's up in the cloud like this, whatever download is in here somewhere, you can bring it down and download as, and you can download it as whatever. So if you needed to, let's say you had a bunch of, I don't know, customer something or invoice something, and you wanted to download it, you could download it as a PDF, and right away it's just a thing you can print, not have to open it up in something else and export it.
Nice. So it's really for like a free tool. It's actually super powerful.
Very, yeah. We barely touched into like what the spreadsheet can do, and really some of these other things, like the map one. I imagine could be crazy fun. You know, again, with all the different ways you can, in the same way that we've built the form and then can embed the form into web pages, I'm sure you can do the same. Well, I know you can do the same with maps, and you could probably display some of the info from, like, if we wanted to display this for some reason, like once the form, where'd our site go? Once the form happened, maybe down here we wanted to display the answers. I'm sure there's a way to get this to kick out into another piece of code snippet that we could add underneath of here, and then it would display the results or something, or maybe on another page or something. Can you hide columns and lock them so they can't be unhidden? I don't know. I guess I could try to look around, but I just don't know that. I haven't done that, probably, but maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know offhand. I can't even think if you can do that in Excel.
That's just a thing I haven't done, so, or at least I can't envision we saying hide columns and lock. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Let's say you got a whole bunch of stuff going on and it's necessary for your thing. Like I had to do this with the cards a lot, figure out all the different variables or possibilities. What I really wanted was this column to work with something way the heck over here on the left. So yeah, you can sort of take a bunch on regular Excel at least and do some kind of trick, and they're still there. They're just kind of like if you did this and squished them all together, except they literally become invisible. And then you do something and they come back. That's a good question. I just don't know if it could do that. It might. Maybe some of the other people that have used it out here can tell us. Let's see. Getting quite a few comments coming out there, but I don't see any specific questions. What Chromebook would I use? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions.
Okay, so the idea of these is to make them short and sweet and to get the information out there as kind of a primer. So that's the Google Drive, I guess, in a nutshell. If you have any more questions, feel free to email them to us at, I guess, gun websites at gmail.com, or once the video renders, anytime, leave them in the comments there. That way the question's there where everybody can read it. And if somebody comes along who can answer your question, let YouTube keep that conversation going. And if there's enough specific questions or people that use this stuff want to get in and talk more specific details about stuff I missed or went over, then we'd be more than happy to do another one and bring people in and keep talking about it. Cycle Camp says keep going because he's not done drinking yet. I appreciate it, but I'm thinking about the end user watching this later, and I don't want to make this like an hour-long session they have to stick into. So, Angelina, thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you having the time to do it, and thanks for suggesting it because I think this was a good one. Hopefully it helps people on their projects out there.
Definitely. Thanks for teaching me Google Documents.
And, oh, I got to talk for just another minute because I put my elevator music away. That was dumb. All right. So we'll see you guys next time.